Hey guys, welcome. So the Apple Vision Pro is out, and I've seen a lot of pre-reviews, a lot of reviews, and overall, the sentiment is pretty good on this. There's a lot more hate before I think it got into people's hands, and so one of the things that I want to do in this video is I want to actually talk about the reality of this device, how people like myself, gamers, or people in the tech industry, again like myself, people who have kind of grown up through VR, XR, AR, whatever you want to call it. I want to give it through that lens because that gives me perspective into where we were, where we are, and to really kind of level set, is this device good? Is this device a leap forward? And so I'm going to talk about all those things. I'm going to try to keep this under 30 minutes the best I can. But this device really just truly is incredible. So the first thing I'll start with is just the build quality. So the build quality is fantastic. We've heard that before. So I'm not going to go into a lot of things that we've heard. The build quality is great. The sound quality for spatial audio is impressive. Now, on the MetaQuest, it also has the same spatial speakers that you could see. You can see the little slits here as well. The Quest 3 has those same things, and it does sound pretty good. When I first put on the Quest early or late last year, I was pretty impressed with the spatial sound. Apple sound takes it up a notch, and I think that has to do with more with their codec and how it is using spatial sound in your actual environment because it sounds a lot better. It's the best sound I've ever heard in a VR headset. It's so good, in fact, that if you're not with another person or traveling, you don't need to have any type of Bluetooth earbuds or speakers to have a good experience. The sound is that good. The reason I say if you're alone is there is some sound bleeding because it's not plugged into your ear and trapping the sound into your ear. There is some sound bleed that someone next to you could hear. But again, the quality is just incredible with how they have it working with spatial audio and Dolby Atmos. Now, me, because I'm a bit of a snob when it comes to sound, especially when it comes to movie sounds, gaming, stuff like that. My biggest worry was latency, especially when it comes to gaming and movies. That the sound can be off, and it's just the nature of the beast when you're talking about Bluetooth and stuff like that. So Apple introduced their Gen 2 AirPod Pro. With the USB-C charger. This is the only one that has that H2 chip, I guess, built in that works with the Vision Pro. And this does some magical stuff. It basically creates low latency, lossless audio. And I went into the music, Apple Music, and listened to the Talking Heads. They had a Dolby Atmos spatial audio experience that was lossless, and it was incredible. It was literally like I was in the studio as they were recording. It's really hard to describe just how good lossless audio actually is. Until you hear it, it's hard to understand what you're probably missing out on. Again, do you need it to have a great experience with the Vision Pro? No, but it just is another thing that kind of adds to the immersive quality. So now we got those kind of things out of the way. I want to talk about the actual device and just how astonishing this device is. Now, to give background, I'm the CTO for a company called Verenity. We're building immersive therapeutic apps to help with veterans, the elderly. We essentially want to be able to take immersive experiences that can help with mental health and healing to the masses. And so I've been dealing with a lot of different VR headsets, different methodologies that we can get to have people kind of experience that. And I can say without a doubt that the Vision Pro is the future of immersion and how people will probably interact with anything digital moving forward. Now, again, it's like anything else. It's going to take time to adopt. When the first iPhone and Android came out, I was working at T-Mobile, and I remember when they came out, people were like, oh, these are going to fail. It's going to take a while to adopt. Everyone wants their trackball because the BlackBerry had the trackballs and Google's not doing a trackball and all this other stuff. And once the G1 came out and the first Apple phone came out, it took a bit of time, and then boom, now everybody has either an Apple or an Android. There's a few niche ones in between, but they're all that. And it's just the way things are now. I think it's going to go that way with the Vision Pro. I think eventually it's going to replace computers. It's definitely going to replace monitors for a lot of people. For me, I'll never use my other monitor again when I'm working with my Mac. Now I have a 55-inch LG CX OLED, which is a phenomenal picture. I love my TV, but it's just what I can do with this. And even though my OLED is amazing, the Apple Vision Pro is better than that. And I was so surprised because there's been nothing that I have. Like I have a huge laser projector, HDR 4K, that's gorgeous as well. Nothing comes close to my LG OLED CX TV that I have, except for this Vision Pro. Micro OLEDs truly are a marvel. And when I first got this, I'm like, okay, I really want to see the visual quality of this device. So I threw on Avatar 3D, The Way of Water, the second one, because they did make advancements from the first Avatar to the second one, and you can actually see it through the Vision Pro, just how good Avatar 2's 3D is and how much of a jump it was. But it is the cinematic experience. It's the best cinematic experience I've ever had in my life. And that's not hyperbole. I'm not saying that, just throwing that out. It truly is the best experience. The quality, the 3D, the actual 3D. There's no screen door effect. You're not wearing these funky glasses. When I went to theaters, it was always kind of blurry. Getting because of my vision, my focal points were always a little weird. And so I could get kind of a headache. There's none of that with the Vision Pro. With my prescription lenses, how it arranged where my eyes are at, the clarity, the fidelity, there's no stutter, the colors, the HDR, the way it works, it's a fucking marvel. Like, it really is. It is crazy how incredible the display is. So I just want to get out of the way, and anyone who says otherwise is just full of shit. I have seen every display. Now, for consumer, there are some high-end displays, but even those, this is the pinnacle of displays right now for consumers. Micro OLED. It's a brand new technology. I think the only things that have been using this beforehand were military-grade stuff and like super high-end camera viewfinders. Started to use this very recently. So this technology is super new. I mean, it's essentially a pixel the size of a red blood cell. There's no screen door effect. You can't see pixels in this. You just can't. You're not seeing that. And so this is the best screen that I've ever seen for a consumer. So that's, if you're just, into visual fidelity, this is as good as it gets, not just as a headset, but just in what your eyes can perceive currently. And the fact that you can make it small, big, and everything, every pane you put up, regardless of how many you have, they all keep the same visual fidelity. It's pretty impressive. Now, here's the other thing too, is I was worried about people saying that it was heavy. This device, like any other standalone headset, it's not glasses. I don't know what people think, if it's going to be a feather or what, but you're putting a device on your face. There's going to be some weight. This Apple Vision Pro is no heavier on my face than my Meta Quest 3 is, or my PSVR 2. And the PSVR 2 is the one that really should be ashamed of itself, because all of its actual power is coming from the PS5. The power, everything is coming, so it's really just the screen itself, but it is a bit lighter than the other ones. But still, my Meta Quest 3 is the most uncomfortable headset that I have, and I've seen reviewers say, oh, it's not as comfortable as Meta Quest 3. There's a lot of third-party straps for the Meta Quest 3, and I do have one of those, and it does make it better. It redistributes my weight better, gives me a battery life. But the Vision Pro is still a more comfortable headset. And I think where people are going wrong is they're just not fitting it correctly. Especially with the knit band, it works great. You just have to make sure you have it positioned correctly. You have to make sure you have the right light sill, and you got to make sure you have it not too tight, but just snug enough. It took me about 10 minutes or so of messing around with it to find that right fit. But once I did, I wore this thing for most of the day with zero problems. No neck problems, no problems on my cheekbones or nose. Again, I'm a pretty big dude. I'm 6'5", and so it might be a little bit easier for me. And I'm sure there'll be third-party bands that you're going to be able to get, because the bands come off really easy with this little strap. You can just pull it, and then the band comes right off, so it's pretty nice. But it's just not heavy. I think that came from people who never really used different VR headsets, and this was like their first, or they didn't really remember how heavy the other ones are, but don't let that get away from you. It's a headset and there's going to be weight to it, but it's no heavier than any other one. And the differences are minute, and that will get better with different straps, different things like that as well too. But for me, this works perfectly. No issues as far as the weight goes. The other thing that kind of I was worried about was the field of view. Everyone's like, oh, the field of view is worse than the MetaQuest. Well, let me put a caveat to that and basically call that complete and utter bullshit. Because on my MetaQuest, because I have to wear glasses and I didn't get the inserts because the inserts actually do kind of suck for the MetaQuest, it has this thing right here. And you have to extend this in and out in order to fit for glasses. So when I have glasses on and I want to wear this, I have to have it extended out a ways, which really makes my peripheral really go down quite a bit. With this, because I have the lenses, I get a normal view. I mean, my PSVR 2 view and my MetaQuest view and this view, I don't notice a difference between them. And I think it's because I don't have that distance. Because the closer you can get your eyes to it, the more viewing you're going to get and the less binocular you're going to get. So I think, again, people might have gotten the light seal a little bit too big for their faces. They need to just refit that again. But again, the field of view is not noticeable. Again, I think that's coming from people who haven't used other XR, VR headsets that don't understand what it actually looks like and how that can change based on where your eyes are at. So for me, as someone who has inserts in here, has the medium light seal, field of view is fine. There's no problem at all. It doesn't feel claustrophobic or like tunnel vision. It's fine compared to other ones. And so this is the big reason why I wanted to do this particular type of review, is because I think there was a lot of context that was missing, and there was a lot of people that were shitting on or boosting this without trying anything else, and this was kind of their only experience. So you have to have that juxtaposition to kind of know what you're talking about. And so that's why I really felt that I wanted to get this review out there just to talk about some of these things. So the one thing I can say without a doubt is it's the best sound on any VR headset, especially with the Apple Pro 2 USB-C. The visual quality is bar none better than anything else. If anyone says, oh, you can look at a TV and it's just the same, it's not. It almost frustrates me that a reviewer would say that, because there just is no comparison to the visual quality of this device. Now, that brings me up to say one thing, and this is some of the tips and tricks that I really wanted to talk about, which I think will fix some of the issues that some people have with the Vision Pro. The first one is whenever you're watching movies or 3D content, there is a difference when you pinch the screen out and you zoom it way out and then make it larger. Sometimes a 3D is weird as far as like just how your brain perceives it. So what I found to do is anytime I'm watching a 3D movie through Apple and even through the Disney store, what I do is I will bring the picture in real close to me, and then I'll zoom it out from there and then put it where I want. And then the 3D just pops and it's incredible. Same with the visual quality resolution. So my tip is just make sure when you're looking at screens and you're setting them up for like the viewing angle that you want, start by bringing it in close to you, zoom out to what looks good to you, and then slowly push it out, because you're going to find that perfect angle for your eyes, whether it's you have vision issues or don't. You're going to find that perfect depth that you want that screen to be to really have you immersed. Once I figured that out, it stayed true for almost every movie that I looked at, whether it was The Way of Water, Dune 3, Wreck-It Ralph. I just tried all kinds of movies, and that was like the key to really having that great experience, is just making sure that you have that window right where you want it for your eyes, and not just the default. So that's one of the things I would say to get the best out of it. But if anyone tells you that there's something better than this when it comes to visual fidelity, including a $20,000 8K TV, it's just not gonna happen. Like, as far as your eyes are concerned, it's right now it's not getting better than this as far as the visual fidelity. It truly is a marvel, these micro OLEDs. The other thing that I'll say about this as well too is the battery life. The battery life is fine. Like my MetaQuest 2, if I'm lucky, I get an hour and a half out of that battery without having the battery pack on the back. So again, there was a lot of hate thrown at this, but there's not any standalone device that can just go for hours and hours and hours like these people are expecting these devices go for. They're expecting them to be like a phone, and it's just not going to be there yet as far as that goes. The battery itself is great. It lasted about 3.5 hours for me yesterday and had still 15% left watching movies. When I was doing heavy usage, I think I got about like 2 hours and almost 40 minutes out of it. And it charges pretty fast. And the other thing too is you can just daisy chain stuff. So like right now I have it being charged to the wall, but if as long as you have a strong enough battery to charge this, you can just daisy chain it and have another battery charging it all the time. So the battery is not an issue. Like the fact that people are like complaining about this kind of blows my mind, because no standalone VRs have good batteries, and this is probably the best of them. And I do like that it was added in the pocket, because A, you don't really notice it. It's pretty nice. I don't mind the cord like at all. And I understand, because of all the tech that's in the headset, like not having that weight in there right now for Gen 1 makes sense. I think eventually you might get the batteries in the headsets, but what I'm hoping is that they just get the headset smaller and smaller, and they keep the battery out of the headset for now, until there's a revolution in, making batteries super small and super long. But that ain't happening anytime soon for when it comes to being able to pack it into VR. So I hope Apple keeps the battery off to the side and just focuses on getting the device smaller and smaller and smaller to make it more socially acceptable, and make it a little bit easier for people to wear all the time. Because I do think that this is the future of how we will interact with things digitally going forward. The only blocker right now is the price, because it is the Gen 1, and you are paying for some crazy technology, and then the size for a lot of people too. But once this price gets down to where more people can afford it, kind of like with iPhones, and once this gets down a little bit in size, it's going to change the world. I don't think just Apple is behind this. MetaQuest has been pushing this as well. So Meta's done a lot for this. Early on Oculus. Other VR headsets like Pico and stuff have pushed this to kind of get to where it's at. But Apple's kind of taken all that and shown us the world that we're going to eventually move into. And it's something that I am ready for. I mean, the last thing that I'll say about this review about some of the things that people might not have told you is, no amount of videos, no amount of me telling you how good this device is will ever do it justice of actually just trying it. So if you have a friend who has one, ask them to put it in guest mode and let you try it. Set up an appointment in an Apple store just for the demo, because there is nothing that anyone can tell you that will translate what you actually see when you put this on. And that's what I've told everyone about VR for the longest time. Sending you a video doesn't do it justice. Videos look shitty. When someone shows me a video of something VR, I'm like, cool, that looks like shit. Until you put it on, they're like, oh my God, okay, now I get it. 2D video does not translate spatial video well at all. So that's the one thing I'll say is, don't let the videos that you see underwhelm you, overwhelm you, whatever. It's nothing to compare to what you will actually see when you actually put on the headset. So that's the best advice I can give you, is don't listen to everybody. Just understand that this is a crazy piece of tech. The visual fidelity is just insane. The build quality is great. The sound is good. The ecosystem is amazing. I'm going to have a few more reviews coming out about how I actually use this in different capacities. But for right now, as just a pure childlike wonderment experience, I have never been this astonished in my adult life for a tech device. It almost makes me feel like when I was a kid and the Nintendo 64 first came out. And I remember seeing games in 3D versus just 2D, and it was kind of mind-blowing. This is a jump like that. And I've used other VR headsets. So this is with me using the PSVR 1, PSVR 2, the MetaQuest 1 through 3s, early Oculus, the Vive. This is the first one where I'm like, holy shit, they're on the right track. And I think it plays into two real reasons. One is the ecosystem, and two is the visual fidelity. It's what I've always said. To get VR to truly work, you have to have the visual fidelity up there. That screen door effect cannot be there because it kills immersion. This has accomplished that for the first time. My PSVR 2, which has OLED, still has a tiny screen door effect. This thing has none. It is truly, truly incredible what micro OLEDs are doing in this. And again, I can't wait to see what developers have. But thanks for checking this out. Again, this is, just a video that I wanted to throw out there to kind of show that a lot of people got things right. A lot of people didn't have the right perspective or context on this. But again, don't let anyone tell you or try to sell you on a Vision Pro. The best thing you can do for yourself, and I think what will actually cement what I'm telling you, is just go and try it. Once you try it, that light bulb will go off. That wonderment you had as a kid, the astonishment, I think, will kind of kick in, and you're gonna be like, okay, yeah, it's one of those devices that truly just like changes the way that you see what the future might actually be. So thanks again, and I should have another review coming out soon. Thanks.